All right, let's go ahead and continue our section 6.4 notes. In section 6.4, we're talking about compound inequalities. And if you think about that word compound, it's really just talking about the fact that we're going to have more than one. So more than one inequality. So if you draw the graph of the following, so let's deal with one. Problem one goes all the way down here. We're looking at the x values that are less than or equal to 6. So we have a filled dot at 6, and less than are all the points that go to the left. X is greater than -4. So we have an open dot at -4, and our arrow goes to the right. When we look at part C, now they take those two things and they put them together. And they say, well, where are the points where the x value is less than or equal to 6 and the x value is greater than -4? And that's all of these points in between -4 and +6. They have values that are less than 6 and greater than -4. Let's look at number 2. What do you do with an OR graph? So we have x is greater than 4, which is all of these points over here. We have x is less than or equal to -3. Notice the filled dot and the left. And when we get to part C, they've asked us about OR. Where are the points where the x, the answers, are greater than 4, or the x's are less than or equal to -3? The points could be here to the right, they could be here to the left, but they cannot be in between. So when we have an OR graph, we expect our picture to look like this. OR. AND graphs overlap, OR graphs go opposite. So I typed down here for you, it says, how is an AND graph different than an OR graph? An AND graph represents points that are common to both situations. So in example 1, points that are both greater than -4 and less than or equal to 6. While in an OR graph, points can satisfy either inequality. For the sake of time, I'm not going to pause it. But make sure you pause if you didn't get all of that written down, because it's a pretty important statement. Now there are some special cases. Let's take a look at them together. What happens if x is greater than 4 and x is less than or equal to -1? Greater than 4, that's these guys, going this way, less than or equal to -1. Oops. Should have stayed on my line. Less than or equal. Are there any points that satisfy that? No, I didn't think so. When that happens, if there's an AND graph with no overlap, then we have no solutions, right? There's no shared. This doesn't happen. What about this case? X is greater than -4. So we have an open dot, meaning we can't have that point. And greater than goes this way. Less than or equal to 3. So we have a filled dot. And less than goes this way. Well, if I could be on the arrow pointing to the right, and I could be on the arrow pointing to the left, well, I could be on any point I want to be on. This is a situation where any real number, or all real numbers, will work. So that my graph should really be entirely darkened and both arrows filled in. So what do we do what are these problems going to look like? Now that we know what it is, what are the problems going to look like? And they're pretty much going to look like this. You're going to have problems where sometimes they'll give you the word and, sometimes they'll give you the word or, and you'll have to be careful about what to do. Problems C, D, and E are a little bit different. They're and problems, and we'll need to talk about them. But I think you can handle A, B, and C on your own, so go ahead and pause it and start working through them. and see what you come up with, see how you do. Make sure that you darken that shaded area. So let me show you how I would work through problem A. First of all, we've got to figure out what x is supposed to be. So we'll divide both sides by 3. X is less than or equal to 2, and do the second one. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X is greater than or equal to -2. So less than or equal to 2 goes this way. Greater than or equal to -2. Oops, I forgot to fill in my dot. I better go back and do that. Greater than or equal to -2 goes this way, which means that my solutions, where's the answer? It's in between here. Make sure you make it very obvious that you know where the answers that work are at. So darken that part in. Go ahead and try B and C. Make sure you're okay with this. I think I'm going to start a second video for the next piece.